Welcome to the 13th annual Turf and Tools podcast, this celebratory edition of the Turf and Tools podcast. Unlucky for some, but lucky for us, we are in the chicken coop.
Nothing strange about that at all.
No, if you are watching the video version, yes, we are sitting in the chicken coop with the chickens, so you may be able to hear the chickens throughout this. I'm not going to apologise for that. They're part of the family now. Yep. I am a man of the land. We are 5 eggs deep.
Yep.
I am a primary producer.
You're right. Okay, cool.
How are you, Carthy?
Got to start dressing up in overalls and
Yeah, I could, hey?
Yeah, 100%. No, I'm good. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in again this week.
You had a big week, or?
Not turf-related necessarily, but usual, just puttering around. I guess we go straight into the rye lawns anyway, because that's all I've got going on.
I wonder if anyone's getting sick of our rye lawn updates, but I guess as it gets cooler and cooler, no one's going to have anything to mow, so it'll be something to talk about.
It's just nice to see the progress on it, or hear the progress on it if they're listening to the podcast anyway.
Send me some video or some still shots of it, and I'll chuck it in the video podcast, just overlaying it so people can see what we're talking about, how it looks.
Yeah, so gave it its first cut.
Yep.
Gave it a liquid fert application as well.
Yeah.
And it's growing aggressively. There's thin patches. I've thrown more seed down in those areas, but temperatures dropped in Sydney over the last week.
It has, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's got cold now, overnight especially, so... Geez, they're loud out there.
That's Greg.
Greg sounds angry.
He seems to be the grumpiest of the four.
She, he? Mm-hmm.
I feel like Greg's a he.
Greg's a he that lays eggs, okay.
Yeah. Oh, whatever. It's definitely dropped off, hasn't it?
Yeah. So I'll see how the extra seed I've thrown down will germinate. But it should be okay. Overall, once it starts thickening up now, it'll be good.
Otherwise, it'll start germinating next year.
Yeah. The zoysia is actually doing really good. Yeah. I'm very happy with that. I reckon if the front yard continues to get sun, so even though it's slow, I reckon come spring, I'm pretty close to full coverage, which would be brilliant. Like, if I can get it in one season I thought zoysia, slow-growing variety.
When did you...
sprig it?
Yeah, when did you sprig it? It was
September. So it's had one spring and one summer.
I feel like it was longer ago.
No. The original nursery patch was longer.
Oh, that's why I feel like it was longer.
Yeah, and then I sprayed the tiff stuff out sort of just before spring.
Now, we do need to elaborate because there'll be people that haven't listened before. What sort of zoysia are we talking about?
So it's called a Primo zoysia.
Yeah.
It's a variety that's not yet available to market as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
Lawn Solutions Australia, who are like a big player in Australia anyway, are the ones that primarily have I think it's like they have the license to grow that grass, so to speak.
Oh, wow.
We got a chicken.
Okay. Who's that? Greg, what are you doing? Get
wants
down.
to be part of the podcast.
Buddy, you're going to stop us recording.
Come here, bro.
You know he's going to shit on you.
Nothing new there.
I told you, he was grumpy. So Primo zoysia, not... Are you 100% sure it's not available to buy?
Yeah, not like... I think there's literally only 1 or 2 turf farms that are at this stage kind of...
Testing it.
Was selling it even.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like, it's not available for domestic market. And if you want to get it, you can probably hit them up and get some.
Yeah.
But it's probably going to be expensive because right now it's not priced, I'm sure, to be available for the home lawns. It's a variety that's not necessarily targeting home lawns either.
Yeah.
I think they're testing it, from my understanding, for golf course applications because it can sort of withstand really ultra low more heights,
which is the appeal of it.
Yeah, so putting greens and stuff like that is the main application that they're testing for. I love the look of it so far, and like I said, zoysia is known for being a very slow growing variety.
Yeah.
And so if there's damage, slow recovery as well. But so I was thinking it might take a couple of seasons even for it to fully
but you're happy with
establish.
How it's going,
Oh, I'm chuffed with
Send me some pictures of that. I'll chuck that in as well. I haven't seen it for a while.
I'll send you like what it looked like when I first plugged it.
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
what it looks like now as well.
But I will put that on.
That's when it's quite drastic to see how much it's grown.
Yeah, I think he's laying an egg. Oh, no.
Nah. He's just got a lot to say, mate. Maybe I can stop showing up for the podcast. You and Greg can do the podcast.
Zoysia's going well.
Zoysia's going well.
Has that got a height that it'll just sort of grow to and then...
Well, I left it in that couple of pots that I've got.
Yeah.
And I don't know, what's that?
It looks like about 200 mil.
Yeah, so it grew
It's
to...
that high, is it?
Yeah, it's just sort of furry and...
Okay.
Yeah, still looks good.
Yeah.
But you need to keep the water up, obviously.
Yeah.
It starts dying off really quickly if it's needing water.
Yep.
But look, the spec sheet that comes with that variety of grass literally said height of cut, I think 2 millimeters to unknown.
Okay.
So it's just, you can leave it and see how long I left. The ones in the pot's coming up to almost 2 years.
Yeah.
One's had a hard cut back on the pot. The other one's never been touched yet.
Yeah, okay.
So, and it's only that much in 2 years.
Yeah, okay.
That is, like, I think that's great. Like, for home lawns, if you've got it and you're not mowing it regularly, it still looks good. It's not the sort of low-cut grass that we normally have, but clearly it's not going to get out of hand like Kaikuyu or
I need
Hooch
to come
does.
out. I haven't been over your place for ages. I just haven't been out that way looking for...
You're busy farming, mate.
I know, I'm a man of the land now.
Yeah, that's right.
I normally stop when I'm looking out there for somewhere for Fremo Fridays, but I haven't been out there much
And I think
lately.
you've had the same place you've been going back to for like your second or third visit now for Fremo Fridays as well, right?
Yeah, it's been pretty big there. But
Your rice looking good?
Yeah, I cut it for the first time only 2 or 3 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
What are you looking for?
My coffee. I had it somewhere.
Maybe
I
Greg
lost it.
did it knock over? Or
No.
did Greg knock it over?
Wrong side.
Greg just jumped into the nesting box, by the way, which is promising because I feel like he may be laying an egg.
Okay.
So very happy about that. We've got the other two here. I can't see who that is. That might be Cold Trickle and Luna. They're having a dust bath at the moment, cleaning each other off. I cut it for the first time. Didn't go super aggressive on it or anything. I used the Still RMA 510V.
Okay.
Which runs on their AP batteries.
That's their professional range?
I mean, I wouldn't really describe this as I'm not going to describe it as a commercial mower or anything. I don't think it's... You could use it in maintenance scenarios or anything, but I don't... It's not necessarily the mower that I'd be...
And they're not necessarily billing it as a commercial one either, are they?
Well, it's in their professional range.
Okay.
So, I mean, they have one above that, which is that... I don't know if you've seen it. It's got like a pram handle, sort of single arm, caster wheels on the front. I'm not sure of the model number.
Sort of like the other, what is it, Pelink?
Yeah,
that kind of wheels in the front. Yeah, I think I've
caster
seen
wheels at the front.
I've seen pictures of it. That's it. Yeah.
I haven't tried that or even seen it in the flesh, but that's their commercial one, I believe.
Okay.
What they might call this one commercial, I don't know, but yeah, it's a self-propelled.
Nice.
It comes in a push one as well. This one is the self-propelled one.
And I mean, you were cutting rice, so I'm not going to bother asking you how it went because you would have cut it. It's fine. Yeah.
Someone said in the comments for the video that, it looked like it did a great job. I'm like, well, if I was down there with scissors, I probably could have done a good job.
Yeah.
But
did you pick that because it was the lightest mower?
Well, it was. I hadn't used it. It was semi the lightest mower that I had here.
Okay.
All the lighter ones are still at home. I need to bring them over. The Azito would have been a good one to do it with.
Yeah.
Or the Bosch, which someone described. I actually mowed my back rye patch on that video as well.
At your place?
It actually looks worse on camera. Karthik's looking at the picture of it now. It looks worse on camera than it does in person.
No, it looks all right.
I think once I give it some liquids, it's going to even it out a bit.
Yeah, those darker patches.
I think it's from the dog piss too.
Could be.
The extra...
But, I mean, you'd think it would have died off if it was from the dog piss because...
Yeah, but then around it, you know how because it's high in nitrogen or whatever, like you then get that hit in those areas. So, you got the die-off spots, but then you got those like deep circles around it.
Yeah. It looks good though. I mean, this time of year, if you've got a lawn that looks like that...
Oh, yeah, I looked at it, like just glancing out of it, I'm like, oh, wow, okay, it looks okay, which for something that I've put no effort into. Both of my rye projects have been like extremely lazy. Just cut it back, throw it down, no thought to it. That's the fun bit about it.
Sometimes I think to myself, like, what would it be being sort of a lawn fanatic or whatever we call ourselves and living in one of those cool temp areas and being able to just grow a whole range of like cool season varieties. We don't know much about cool season varieties, to be honest, in terms of knowledge.
You'd probably be dealing with frost and all that sort of stuff.
No, I'm sure there's issues with that too. And come summer, they probably deal with what we deal with through winter, right? Their grass starts struggling through summer.
There's always a trade-off, isn't there?
100%, yeah. But it'll be fun to play with some cool season varieties.
I did mow that one with the Bosch mower because that is the lightest mower that I have. and someone described it in the comments as the ugliest mower they've ever seen. Karthik describes it as, what do you call it, an iron on wheels or something?
Yeah, that's pretty much, like the first time I looked at it, I went, that looks like the iron at home, except it's a lawnmower for some reason. It's an interesting, interesting looking mower.
Yeah. I found it really good for just that stuff where you want that something light that's not going to trample the grass too much. It's by no means perfect.
Yeah.
It's an odd feeling thing. The handlebars don't feel that solid.
Yeah.
I hate when they feel floppy. I hate flop and play in the handlebars.
Yeah.
It just makes you feel disconnected from it.
Where do they sell them? Because if I hadn't seen that mower at your place, I wouldn't have known Bosch makes lawnmowers.
So I don't know. The answer to that question is when they contacted me and sent it out, I asked the same question. I'm like, where do you get this? And the answer was like, through eBay. Like they have an eBay store.
Okay.
Where else was it? It was somewhere else. Maybe some other store, but it was like, yeah. And I'm like, who buys off eBay these days? When was the last time you bought something on eBay?
Picked up like a random air filter for one of my mowers once on eBay.
Once? What?
That was maybe 12 months ago.
Yeah, okay.
But it was literally somebody in Sydney itself.
Yeah.
So it was the quickest turnaround for me for that particular thing that I wanted. I can't even remember why I bought an air filter from eBay and didn't just
Maybe
go.
Maybe you couldn't find it anywhere else.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember
Delivery
why
time
I did
was
it.
Quick, yeah.
Yeah, but it turned up. It worked.
I find every time, and I don't do it often because I just feel like it's a relic of days gone by, and it's not what it used to be. eBay, like the idea behind eBay used to be cool, and it was a decent site now, but now it's literally just
a shop,
a retail place. And then I always find, unless you're highly specific, you get search results from overseas and that sort of thing, and weeks delivery. And I don't know, maybe it's just my bubble and I'm not aware
on there much,
but I have no desire, like it's the last marketplace that I want to go to by far. But that was where they were saying. So they also have a couple of ranges. That's like there's like Bosch Green and Bosch Blue, I believe. And Green, I think, is like the homeowner DIYer. And then Blue is the more professional range stuff. I don't know if those two arms talk to each other or obviously they talk to each other, but I don't know if they run directly the same.
Yep.
I have seen some people with some Bosch Blue mower and trimmer and stuff.
Like home users? Or?
No, just I've seen some videos.
Oh, okay. I thought you've driven past someone using it?
No. But yeah, I don't see them much. But I think the Blue stuff is available maybe at like Total Tools and Bosch Tools ANZ. So I'm looking at their Instagram right now, and yeah, that's what it is. Their Bosch Tool ANZ is where I think I saw it. Bi-turbo blower or bi-turbo mower. Mm-hmm. Sounds interesting.
And so if you've got other Bosch tools, the more traditional Bosch tools that you would associate the brand with, are the batteries compatible with this mower?
Again, I'm not probably the right person to ask, but I think they are.
Okay.
I think
because that would at least explain why someone might like specifically look for that brand, I guess, in mower if they've already got the batteries.
Yeah.
Then they kind of go on, well, if I just pick up the tool only.
You know what was funny though? I'm sure it was them.
Mm-hmm.
So when I tried the Honda sent their battery mower. This is probably 12 or 18 months ago. And I got the batteries for that, and they were identical to the Bosch batteries.
Okay. Oh, the batteries itself, right.
Yeah. Like
probably just manufactured in the same place, you reckon?
Yeah.
And then badged?
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of design sharing and that sort of thing amongst mowers. Like that still mower that I mowed with is, the identical chassis to the Greenworks 21.
Correct. Which, funnily enough, doesn't a lot of the Greenworks commercial range stuff kind of looks like older Victa.
Well, not a lot
that used to exist, right? Not all of them, but
same deal with the mower. The chassis looks the same.
Yeah.
And that Victa stuff was 82 volts. So I don't know about the internals. I don't like. I don't know, but I've seen it with many brands. But yeah, so much so the Bosch batteries were the same as the Honda. I was able to put the Bosch battery in the Honda and it ran. It wasn't there was no, like it was like for like.
Random little added bonus, eh?
Yeah, that surprised me. But yeah, the more and more I see these things, you're like, oh, okay, there's kind of like design sharing or
yeah, there's something. Yeah, up the
I
food
guess
chain.
Everyone can't do everything, and sometimes it's probably more economical to go and buy something off the shelf than it is to wholesale design something.
If there's a battery manufacturer out there already, it's probably easier to place orders with them for what your necessities are. So they kind of come out looking the same.
Well, there's also an all-for-one battery platform as well, an 18-volt platform, which I know Husqvarna have got a range of their entry-level 18-volt stuff. Runs on that with Gardena as well. Like, who are the other brands? Let me look it up.
And they just work on multiple different brands.
Yes.
No, okay.
Which, I mean, I don't mind the idea of, because having to invest in different batteries every time you want to buy, you might not necessarily want every tool by that.
Random thought, right? You know how phone chargers went the way of Type-C, where in the end, I think whatever regulatory body stepped in and said, enough's enough, everyone's got to go Type-C now.
Yeah.
And even like Apple had to go with the Type-C type charger.
Yep.
Maybe we can get that happening in the lawnmower world, where it's like some random regulatory body that has some sort of power makes everyone use the one type of battery. So then we can just pick which brand skins we need to buy.
Well, I don't know that it's going to happen.
No, I'm not saying it will.
Yeah, but I mean, that is the hardest thing. Hey, batteries, they're the most expensive part of it.
Of that, yeah.
Like that still mower, you're like, oh, okay, it's a $6.99 skin. Okay, but then you got to buy at least a battery, a charger, and you're over $1,000.
Yeah, but having
at that point, you kind of that heavily invested enough that you're like, okay, I'll buy the trimmer. So I guess it's all by design. It makes smart business. I just brought up that the Power for All Alliance. So it's an 18-volt system. Husqvarna, Bosch. So I wonder if they're the same. No, it's the Bosch. I think so. The Bosch mower that I have is the 36-volt. The Bosch
18.
stuff that they run on is the 18-inch. So it must be the Bosch green 18-volt stuff. Gardena. I think Husqvarna and Gardena may be somewhat linked. Maybe. Gloria, the original. I don't know what that is. Wagner. They do those paint sprayer things. That's the only Wagner thing I've seen.
Okay.
Rapid. Never heard of them. Stenel. Never heard of it. Flymo. Again.
Oh, yeah.
Cobbler and Perfect Pro. So
must be like European brands.
What did you say?
I did say that I did say that very strange.
I was thinking exactly the same thing. It does seem more European.
Yeah, like
centric.
UK. Yeah.
Because when they did tell me about this, I was like, oh, that actually sounds like a good idea. But then I actually looked at the reality of what brands are there, and I'm like, okay, I don't use any of those brands. Husqvarna being the biggest one on there, but it is just their entry level, their Aspire stuff. I can't remember how we got there, but so...
It was your ride we were talking about, yes.
So I'm going to give it some liquid first. What have you been feeding yours? And it's not like a brand-dropping thing, but out of interest.
Okay. Just the Plant Doctor Activate Mate, which is the Plant Doctor, like, sort of liquid nitrogen product.
Yeah.
So that's your NPK product. I can't remember the ratios, but it's got NPK, which is nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, which is the three things the grass sort of primarily needs to grow anyway. But I chucked in some seaweed and some humic as well with it, which is for root development and soil health and all that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, just
a little concoction of...
Yeah, just a mix. Which
was it all Plant Doctor stuff? Or?
Yeah, it was all Plant Doctor stuff. Yeah, I've generally always stayed with Plant Doctor. I've tried other brands sometimes because they've sent it, or sometimes because a brand I wanted to try might have had a sale, so I kind of go, I'll pick it up.
But you've had good results.
And
either way.
Every brand I've used has worked, but Plant Doctor has not let me down either, so I continue to use their products.
I think once you get comfortable with something too, you kind of just use it.
Yeah, but I feel a certain amount of brand loyalty to them as well. Because, like I said, when I think I've mentioned this before, when my page was really little.
When you were up and coming, would you just throw it that way?
Before my big range of followers. Yeah, I mean, I remember hitting up Plant Doctor at the time, where when you start on socials and you kind of feel like if a brand wants to in some way associate with your page, you've kind of made it.
Yeah. Not kind of made it, but it's just like I know what you're saying. I don't think that articulates it in a way that's related.
When you start your page, one of the first things you kind of want to do is to be able to work with
a brand.
Yeah, work with brands, a brand, whatever. So I remember, didn't know what I was doing. I just dropped a message on the Plant Doctor Insta page, and they were sort of lovely enough to humor me at the time.
Yeah.
So I just kind of feel like, they were the first ones to sort of ever support my page. So I've got no reason to sort of switch brands because their products have never let me down. I still like them.
I have a somewhat. I've got to be careful saying these things because then people think that you're a fanboy or you have some sort of bias. I don't, because I will try anything, but I do have a similar feeling like that towards Massport because they were the first people to let me try out a mower.
Yeah.
It just so happened that mower is very effective at what it does, and I've used it ever since and wouldn't continue using it if it didn't. And that's not to say that other things aren't equally as effective, but I know what you're saying about that. But on that subject about social media, and there's lots of people with lawn pages and aspiring to get, for want of a better, not even brand deals, just be associated with brands.
Yeah.
After you've done it for sort of long enough, that the actual reality of that, it's not all necessarily it's cracked up to be, and there's no such thing as free. People may be like, oh, you got this for free or that or whatever, but then you have a then responsibility to be making content for that, posting that.
Which is, I think, look, feeling a little bit obliged to do justice to a brand when they've given you products, right? Is, I think, completely normal. And if you don't even care about doing justice to the product when they've given it to you, then you probably have to look at yourself as an issue.
Yeah.
And I know what you mean because you deal with it a lot more in terms of nothing's free. But there have been brands that have sort of sent me stuff before, but there was no contract, there was no requirement around you have to do
but
this.
There's an expectation, which
of course there is. But
it's a two-way relationship.
You're running a social media page, and
if you weren't, they're not just going, oh, you've got a nice lawn, driving past and dropping stuff off.
They're giving it to you to say, hey, use our products and let them know. But there have been brands that have sent stuff and never said, oh, don't post any, or post something or give us this many fee numbers or anything like that.
There's ends of the scale.
Yeah, they get exposure, right?
There's someone will have a contract and it'll be, provide X amount of videos in this time period. We need to review the videos prior to them going out, all that sort of thing. And then the other side of the coin is someone's like, hey, I like your videos. Can we send you this out to try?
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
But, obviously there's still expectation there. But that's kind of why I started Turf and Tools, because I like trying out stuff.
And we can't really go buying every single thing that you want to try. Yeah.
No, exactly. But I also didn't want to over-commercialise my Tim the Lawnmower Man page.
And I think your Turf and Tools, one of the sort of real value adds to that page, so to speak, is that you're not biased towards one brand or another. Because, I think anyone watching it can kind of trust that you're just giving them your opinion on something.
Well, it's not even necessarily even an opinion sometimes. Sometimes it's just showing how something works, you know? It's, You're
not telling them whether you like it, not like it. You're just showing them that it exists as a brand or a product.
Yeah, there's not enough footage or videos, Australian local videos of equipment for us to look at. Because if you search anything on YouTube for equipment, generally it's a very, very short video, or it's something American or whatever. So I feel it kind of fills that void a little bit, and want to get better at it, want to show stuff more, and obviously this property is going to help with all that sort of stuff. But but the point I was just trying to make is it's not what you're seeking in I know a lot of people message me and they're like, oh, how do I get
into social media
and people to send me stuff? And I'm like, okay, it's not like, what's your aim? Is your aim just to collect stuff? Because if your aim's just to collect stuff, I don't know. I almost don't see the
point.
It's like, and now I try and get people to send me stuff as a demo. I don't want to be sent something to keep for a number of reasons. Like, number one, there's less expectation. If I'm just demoing the equipment, it's not like it's a gift or anything. And number two, it's not a tax liability for me, because once you start getting sent stuff,
you got to declare everything.
Yeah, it's taxable. So I don't want to be paying to promote someone's equipment.
Yeah. And I think the other one I've realized with the odd conversations I've had with like people I do know who kind of also know that I'm on Insta or TikTok is how many people in Australia actually think that TikTok and Instagram pays.
Yeah, yeah.
People think like, if you've got a fairly decent sized following on TikTok, that you must be making good money from that.
Yeah.
They don't realize that the actual short format, any short format in Australia, none of them actually pay. Facebook pays in a certain way, I guess, in ad revenue.
The closest thing to it, yeah.
Yeah,
but
and then
Instagram
YouTube does.
Just in the last month, as far on my account anyway, introduced ads. So if I look up your page directly and I start scrolling through your videos,
content,
just yours, in that feed they will serve ads, and there's and then you get revenue from that.
Okay.
No, well, I mean,
they must send it to a select few.
Well, it might be at a certain amount of.
Yeah, it must be a cutoff.
But I can tell you how much I've made from that, and it'll be interesting. And this isn't me crying poor or anything, but this is just that Instagram doesn't pay, TikTok doesn't pay a cent
in Australia. Yeah.
Here we go. Approximate earnings, ads in profile feed they call it. Oh, okay. So that's in the last week. So that's picked up quite substantially, actually.
Here we go, retirement funds.
Yeah. So in the last 30 days, there you go. You can have a look at that. Jesus, man. That decimal point's at the wrong spot. 476 cents in the last
$4.76.
30 days.
Hey, it's a start.
I'm surprised. I was
It's a
surprised
start.
when it. No, exactly.
Because again, like, see, I'm too little a page, but I think sometimes it's like underestimated how much effort does go into short format as well. There's creators out there who put a lot of work into their content.
Yeah.
And really, Insta and TikTok, from a monetary point of view, is a thankless endeavor almost, isn't it?
Yeah. Sometimes you question why you do it. Like for me now, obviously it's a business model, but I think before going into it, you got to kind of question, what am I hoping to get out of this?
Yeah.
And like for people that started, I enjoy the technology and making the videos and all that sort of stuff. I like equipment, so that was the appeal to me. And then you don't expect it to be I never went into this thinking, I'm going to have a business model out of this. That was never.
Yeah, I think for me now it's turned into almost like how when I was a kid you'd maintain diaries and you'd write down stuff. So for me, my Insta or TikTok's almost turned into that now, where my family at home doesn't care about what I'm doing with my lawn. They don't want to hear me talk about it.
Yeah.
So before I met you, there's not really anybody else in my friend circle that was into lawn care either.
Yeah.
So that was sort of where you could post things, and then you got people in the comments that you could talk to about what you'd just done.
Yeah.
And it was good because you met like-minded people.
Well, you're like me. You're not posting a picture of your family or a meal that.
Oh my God! I haven't posted on my own page for God knows how long.
You know what I mean. But it's like the things that we're interested in, that we want to share, that we want to be able to look back on.
Yeah.
I mean that sounds weird when you say it, but it's like I can look back now. I've been doing this 3-4 years, whatever,
Correct.
and you look at what you're doing in the backyard or how it's changed or. And it's actually kind of interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I have no idea how we got on to
I've got no
the
idea
perils of
social media.
Yeah, that definitely wasn't on the talk list
Podcast
today.
list.
But yeah.
Anyway, but look, can I just ask?
Yeah.
So tell us, chickens. You've got how many? What's going on? We're sitting in a chicken coop. I might as well get into.
So we purchased 4. I mean, purchase sounds so.
You adopted them and brought them home, yeah.
Just come a little closer to the mic, Kathy. You're looking a little bit too laid back. I don't want to sacrifice the sound for your comfort. We purchased 4, I think they're called Highline Brown chickens. Okay. And they
run on 18 volts?
Robust. What was that?
I said, do they run on 18 volts or 13.6?
They, apparently they're robust egg layers. Oh, no, did you just spill that on your white shirt?
God, what a mess.
You grub. I've heard anywhere from, generally they lay for a couple of years.
Okay.
And you might get, I've heard people say like 300 eggs a year. And then I've heard like lifetime say like 500.
Okay.
So I don't know, 250, 300 a year maybe. I could be wrong. I don't know. But they lay...
It's almost an egg a day. That's all right.
Yeah, so we're 5 eggs deep, as I said earlier. This is the second morning. You keep talking about... Describe them for a second, because I think Greg's laid an egg because he went in the...
So you want to go pick up
I
an
do
egg?
want to check, and I want to check we're still recording, because last week...
The camera cut off. Oh, sorry. Yeah, the video cut off last week. Was Greg your favorite? No, Cold Trickle was your favorite, wasn't he? He does sound like one of those really grumpy old men. I mean, if you had an egg coming out of you, you'd be pretty grumpy too.
I'll edit that out. No one wants to hear me going and checking if my chickens have laid eggs. But yeah, so we have 4 of those. We just got them as... There was a chicken coop here, and it's a pretty cool chicken coop. And I had no intention. I thought, they're going to be filthy. It's just going to be work I don't want to do. But I really like them so far. Yeah. I like the idea of it. I like having them here. I think it's going to be nice coming down and just listening to them, them adding a bit of sound, and eventually we'll eat them. No, we won't eat them. But so we got 4 of those. We don't plan to get any more at the moment, but apparently people...
End up getting more and more?
Yeah, I think they call it chicken math. You end up getting more.
Oh, God, okay.
I believe they do anyway. So we do have 4 chickens.
And you were saying you got plans for the chicken in your veggie garden down the line?
So we've got to start the veggie patch soon. Mm-hmm. That's probably the next thing we're going to kick off. We're going to clear out one of the garden beds just to get something going. Nicole's been harassing. Greg, chill out, man. He's so grumpy. He doesn't want to come to you. He's not very friendly. Maybe if we get some food. You want feed, Greg? He sounds like he wants food, eh? Yeah, we're going to put some snow peas in, I believe. She's been harassing me because she's like, we're going to miss the window. We're going to miss the window. But yeah, so plenty going on here. Sorry, I'm just trying to feed chickens
That's
while
all
I'm...
right.
A little bit of news on the UTV stuff. As you know, we just transported this lounge, this chair, all this podcasting equipment down to the chicken coop, which isn't too far, but it's annoying, is it not?
Yeah, of course. If you got to do it day, look, the couch and the podcast stuff was okay. It's one trip, but if you're doing work around the property and you had to carry stuff back and forth, yep, 100%.
So yeah, I've been looking at getting some sort of UTV or golf utility or whatever. I've spoken to a couple of brands this week, and hopefully we're going to get to try some out.
Yeah.
Again, not gifted stuff, just demo stuff that we can try out,
I've
show you guys. I don't want to say it until it...
Okay.
I don't want it to say it and then it doesn't come through and whatever. So I'm super keen to try them out. I've got a little trail here that I can off-road, essentially, that I can try them. But hey, big news this week, or the last couple of days. I don't know if you've seen it, but the Ego Commercial Mower, which we spoke about in one of the earlier podcasts, their new, like I guess you'd describe it as heavy-duty
mower,
commercial mower. Mm-hmm. Have you seen the stuff around?
Not in the last week. I mean, really? If there's an update to what I already know.
Well, I've seen a lot of posts in Lawn Mowing Contractors Australia.
Yeah.
With people posting videos that, them picking it up or... Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people, very early days, people seem positive.
Okay.
I guess longer term will
Well, I'd assume the initial buyers are going to be people that are already loyal to the brand.
Yeah, because it's quite an outlay.
It's got to be pretty, something must be horribly wrong with it for them to say they don't like it.
Yeah.
So long term, I'll be curious to see. But if the initial feedback's good, it's good. Because isn't that the one that they claim it's the most powerful or something along those lines? I
probably need to look up the claim before repeating it. But I saw something along those lines. Yep. They say it's super powerful, so... I'm interested to try that. I was hoping we could get a go of it prior to release, but...
that didn't work out.
Hasn't happened, but that's not the end of the world. Mm-hmm. I'm just looking at my list of things that we had to talk about, and one of the things on the list is Karthik interrupting.
Do I interrupt a lot, do I?
I didn't think so. So...
Well, you've got it in your list.
I know, but we're having a conversation. This is just how conversations go. Sometimes you do cut people off because you haven't the thought that you were trying to get out, they're not understanding, so you kind of reframe it or whatever. And I feel I probably do it more so than you, but I had to laugh because it was on one of the podcast videos.
I feel like this is a good moment to interrupt you, but go on.
No, go ahead. I'm looking for it.
No.
Sorry, I missed that joke because I'm trying to do...
It's all right.
2 things at once. We're all over the shop this week, aren't we? Mm-hmm. Not that we're not all the time. I wanted to read it out because it was just so. It was like
It was a comment, was it? Yep.
Can't understand how Tim's OCD tolerates Karthik's constant interrupting with the facepalm emoji.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I read all these comments very quickly because to get through a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw, I scanned it and I saw Tim interrupting and the face palm. And I'm like, oh, they're having a go. And because you're self-conscious about that sort of stuff. And I'm like, because I feel I probably do it more than you.
Do you remember literally after the first one I came back to you and I said, I've got to stop interrupting you?
Yeah.
And then I think the other one I said was, because I could hear it because I had my earpods in.
Yeah.
And I was like, I breathe really loudly for some reason. And you said, no, you're fine. And I'm like, am I interrupting you too much? And you went, no, you're fine. But like
did we have these? I don't know if we had these for the first one.
We were holding them, weren't they?
Yeah, that's probably why.
They'd arrived, but we were holding them in our hands.
Whenever you got a microphone right at you, I'll tell you when it's worse, when you're working.
Yeah, when you're mowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that before where it's almost not usable anymore because...
Well, I did the microphones, these little wireless ones we've got here hooked up to the wired ones as a backup to get sort of better audio and more consistent. I wore it during some Fremo Fridays. And the chickens are under the tripod now, knocking it. People were commenting, being worried about my health because I wear the mask as well. So my breathing's already laboured because of that. So they thought I was
having
moments
issues.
from having a heart attack or something. So,
well, if I interrupt a bit too much, my apologies, guys. I shall try not to.
I don't feel you do. I did have to bring it up because...
But sometimes this man just needs a hand, getting his thoughts out.
I absolutely do because I'm very... and there's a perfect example of it. I can't always articulate what I'm thinking all that well. So I'm always happy to be interrupted and helped out with my chain of thought or train of thought. So I don't feel you're interrupting me, mate.
That's good.
I do appreciate it.
It's a really good thing that I didn't care before, but yeah, that's good. That's good that you don't.
Hey, one piece of equipment that I've got sitting in front of me that we did speak very briefly about that I did try somewhat briefly this week, this Makita 40-volt XGT line trimmer. I gave it a go at the Fremo Fridays for some of the try and keep the grass off the bloody couch, Karthik.
Get stuffed.
Mate.
Let's ignore the ginormous guard,
I was going to say,
of all.
you're holding the guard right in front of your face, so no one is going to be able to see you because that is...
Let's ignore that for a second and let's talk about the tools first, I guess, about everything else.
Well, picking it up right away. Now, I do have to say, this is their 1 kilowatt version. I think they've got a 1.5 or 1.6 kilowatt version. So this is the trimmer you would be using instead of a, like probably a Stihl FS94 or a Husqvarna 525. This is, a battery style equivalent of those sorts of things. First thing you notice picking it up, that guard is ridiculously large.
If Makita wants to encourage safe use, they need to do something about that guard, I reckon, because otherwise people are just going to take it off.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of that big that you're like, I have noticed and I generally leave the guard on. How much dust is in here now with them? We are downwind of that.
There goes the I'm a farmer now store.
I've noticed with a lot of not even a lot, but some of the new battery commercial equipment coming out now, that the guards have been less obtrusive to the point where I haven't even considered taking it off. I try and leave them on anyway just because I want to test them as they're intended to be used. And it's probably not a good idea for me to be encouraging, I guess, taking off guards because it voids your warranty and doesn't protect you as much, and not necessarily everyone will be wearing eye protection and all that sort of thing. Like Ego, their guard's pretty small. Who was the other one that had a?
Well, the Greenworks
was super small.
One of the best, I think, like most compact guards I've seen.
And I don't know if there's any like design regulations around that sort of stuff for safety or whatever, but I don't know how they come up with this for a machine that...
If it was on an entry-level domestic unit, I would completely get it because you'd assume the user is not quite, doesn't quite know how to use it safely.
Yeah.
And like you said, is probably not wearing almost no PPE, nothing, no eye protection, none of that.
So the funny thing with that is the domestic user that doesn't necessarily know how to use the equipment, they're going to struggle more because they can't see.
That might be the case, but at least if you're think about it from the brand's point of view.
Yeah.
They don't want to be held liable for somebody else misusing their product or hurting themselves by using it wrong. So they're going to try to make it as safe as possible. I would understand why they've put a big guard on there, whether I like it or not.
Just hate how the world's got to be designed for idiots.
Oh, mate, the shampoo bottle's got do not drink on it. Seriously?
Does it really?
I think so. I've heard that before.
I haven't read a shampoo bottle since before mobile phones.
Oh, there's chemicals that says do not ingest. Like there's a poison logo on the same label where it also says do not ingest.
Well, back to that trimmer. So guard, anyway, is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully the next iteration of it will be smaller. I don't know. The head is... it works, I can say that. It's got that annoying bump at the bottom, you know, the little knob, which it's a speed feed style head, and that's what you turn to reload it. I found once I put the 2.7 mil line in, it was a little bit hard to ratchet up.
Okay.
So my first thing would be changing the head to a speed feed, which I do for most of my line trimmers anyway. It's nothing personal against Makita.
Is this the 2.7?
That's 2.7 mil round line. So it had some 2.4 in it, and I gave it a go with that. It sounds like it rips. Like you pull on full speed. It's got 3 speeds.
Good response.
Yeah, like it's not super quick, but ticks the box as far as that goes. The throttle is pretty. Then the trigger's not heavy or anything. It's responsive. Or tactile, I guess.
So no finger fatigue issues with that?
No, I didn't have that issue at all. The safety for it's good because it's just, where you put your palm down, that's the safety. It does have a power on, power off button, which again is something I'm not a fan of. Again, another safety thing, the world being designed for idiots. 3-speed, I just used it in the third.
You tend to use it in max pretty much.
Which was overkill for... a lot of it. I was feathering the throttle. So, plenty good power there. It looks like it does have that reverse mode too, I think, when you get tangled up. I probably should have had a closer look before I started using it because I was trimming some vines and multiple times I got caught up on that and I just had the scissors in my pocket and pulled it off that way, but probably would have been an ideal scenario to test that. Feels very good in the hands to me.
Yeah.
I ran it with a 5 amp hour. I ran it with the 8 amp hour battery first.
Okay.
I do have footage of it, so I can probably go and get a runtime number on it. But again, I hate giving out runtime numbers because it's never, especially sometimes the way I'm using it, because it's at full power load and generally constant throttle.
Yeah.
Those numbers are generally very low.
And battery numbers sound absolutely terrible.
Yeah, exactly. If you're saying 20 minutes and people are going, oh, that's awful. But it's like, that is full, flat out, not stopping. That's actually in maintenance scenarios, this is probably the machine you're using in a maintenance scenario where you're going to the client's place every couple of weeks, or you're doing your own. Like, this is plenty enough for someone at home.
God,
plenty enough.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
if there's something at home you can't get through with this, then I don't know how bad that lawn's got to have got.
And I haven't had a chance to test it yet, but I feel like vertical, apart from the guard, I feel like it's going to rip through vertical edges too. I feel like it's going to be satisfying to use. Haven't had a chance to test it on them because it was just some very long and overgrown grass. But tried it with the 8 amp hour battery. I don't like the balance with that. It's
overkill for a VP anyway, wouldn't it? 8?
Again, it's that runtime.
Yeah, the payoff, I guess. Yeah, you get longer runtime.
I then put the 5 amp hour in and did some clearing around my septic down the back there, and I'm like, okay, that's a much more comfortable proposition for me. But overall, I like it.
And it's new to the market?
No, it's not new. It's been out for a while.
It's been out for a while.
Yeah,
all right.
They just... I had the handlebar, the bike handle one, and I don't know, maybe I just haven't been as patient enough or put enough time into it, but I have never tried one of those with the harness and the handlebars that I enjoy using. I don't know if it's because of my height and the angles are weird for me, or it's just I just feel over encumbered massively when I'm in that scenario.
Okay.
I like being able to, manipulate the machine.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I have that control there.
Okay.
I feel like, and I'm saying that's not like a Makita brand thing. That's like all the ones I've tried, and I feel it's more a me thing than the tool thing.
Yep.
But yeah, I've come to the conclusion that I
like
don't
the traditional
like them.
one. Yep.
Yeah, and I wish I did, because there's some attachments like blades you can get that are like a shredding blade.
Yeah.
That can be good for like woody stuff or whatever, and you kind of really need one of those for them because of the kickback that you'll get from those.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's the Makita. I think it's 1 kilowatt. I should probably check, but you know me, it's the smaller of the two. There is a 1.4, 1.5, 1.6 version of it as well. But as far as like power to weight with a 5 amp hour,
yep,
for most maintenance applications, or someone at home, if they bought that machine, is going to be very happy.
What's it going to set them back? But approximately, just give me a ballpark.
Karthik.
What, you just said someone at home buys it?
Well, I just mean in terms of the use of it. Makita 40 volt XGT. I feel like it's comparable to the Ego, or what else have we got here at the moment? The other commercial ones.
You had an AEG at your place. I don't know if you brought it over. You had the...
It's ahead of that.
You had the Greenworks.
The Greenworks. So I've almost got to class them differently now, because anything with the motor in there. So this has the motor
at the
traditional at the back. The Greenworks has the motor in the head, and they're a very different feel. So you're probably either going to like it or hate it. It looks like they have speaking of motor in the head, they have a 40 volt head range, motor one, which is only 0.5 kilowatt. This one is obviously not that, because it's much more than that. They have a 1.5 kilowatt. Trying to find the... Too many options, man. Is this it here? Total tools. Give me the numbers. It's so confusing for everyone.
Just pop it on the screen afterwards. It's all right. We've talked long enough. You can overlay the price on top of the video.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to do a full video on it anyway. So the 1.5 is apparently equivalent, which is not this one. The one above that is equivalent to the 35cc. I imagine they probably liken this to a 25cc machine. But why can I not find that? Sorry, Karthik.
That's all right.
But anyway, long story short, in my brief time using it, I'm going to use it some more around here. I've got to clean some more around the septic and the trail that we have here.
Cool.
So we'll get some use. Cool machine. Anything else you got?
This has been the most random podcast, hasn't it, from
it's
our
good.
flow?
I like random.
Mate, the article on Daily Telly, we got to talk about that.
Was it on the Daily Telegraph?
Oh, was it? Oh,
I think it was on the
Daily
ABC,
Mail?
man.
What was that? ABC?
I think it was on the ABC. Oof. I think you're giving it too much credit. Daily Telegraph. What was it? Did you read it? Or did you read the headline?
No. I read through most of it as much as I could bear to before I started getting shitty.
I feel like these sorts of articles with a clickbait headline come up a lot, and then if you actually read the article and try and get their point and separate the clickbait headline from the actual point they're trying to make, there's a bit of difference. And
yeah, but
this is an article that came up, and we've seen posted in a few places. Lawns, real or fake, are on their way out, and it's a good thing.
Yep.
I mean, that's just a good clickbait article, because
Yeah, but even the body of the article, anytime there's an article that's an opinion piece, and everyone's entitled to that, but sort of thinly veiled as if it's a well-researched and popular opinion.
Well, it comes across as news.
Yeah, and it's there's nothing there to justify that it is a popular opinion, but the way that article reads, it's kind of like he's spoken with a majority of people, and that's the opinion he's heard, as opposed to that's just his opinion.
I don't know. I think if you read it fully at length, and you have the ability, some comprehension ability, you're going to see it's an opinion piece.
Anyway, if people are wondering, it's an article that sort of talks about how lawns are on their way out in general, and how I think what's it like? Just gardens and plants and stuff like that are the way forward.
It's not sort of firm. It's kind of like some people are, or they should be, or.
And by the way, we are all for whatever you like.
I'm
like
all for choice. Yeah.
Yeah. If people don't want a lawn and they want a garden, then absolutely no issues with that either. And the whole argument that I take exception to about how lawns originated as a status symbol, and it was kind of like that's where lawns originally, and they use that as a thing to go, well, these days little suburban blocks, why do you need it? And I go, well, it's got nothing to do with each other. If the lawns originated, that's fine. And we don't have big lawns in front of our house in small blocks, but we've got lawns in the back of, and it's the little bit of green space we've got in our tiny little blocks that we've got for our kids to play on, or for, in my case, for to indulge in a hobby.
Yeah, well, that's true. But I guess the argument that he's saying is that local Australian, what's it called? Native gardens and drought-tolerant things that require little water input are probably...
There's a bit in there about how there's like large amounts of drinking water being used on lawns. And I'm like, no, there aren't anymore.
So it says, and it doesn't matter whether you choose real or fake grass, as they both have serious sustainability, cost and maintenance issues to answer. Number one, I'm not a fan of fake grass.
Oh my God, yeah, no.
I can think of very little scenarios where I feel that's a good...
There's a place for it?
Yeah.
Yep. And even in those scenarios, there's probably other options that are better off anyway.
Maybe, I don't know. The only thing I can think of is...
A doormat.
I was thinking of sporting fields where if it rains, training can often be called off, or the ground gets trampled and destroyed.
Yeah.
And, sports can continue because of that. But then obviously that doesn't... How long does this stuff last for?
Yeah, and just to play devil's advocate as well, I have also read articles talking about how AstroTurf gets so hot in hot weather that kids end up having like heat strokes from the heat it gives off and get really bad burns from...
I think, I mean, you got to preface that with
instances
like I said, of...
I'm playing devil's advocate, like I said there.
Yeah. I think also it depends what... Like, if you went to Bunnings and got the cheapest of cheap AstroTurf, fake turf, I feel like it would heat up a lot more than a... I'm sure there's some premium brands out there
that absorb heat better.
Yes, I'm sure there would be. I'm sure that's a...
Maybe.
Yeah. I still don't think it's a good idea.
100% no from me for that one.
No.
Yep.
But anyway...
Native gardens, absolutely, go for it.
The negatives that he was pointing out with natural grass, that we pour billions of litres of mostly drinkable water on them. Now, for you and I, that's incorrect.
Not true at all, yeah.
Because we live in... And a lot of new estates, that's one of the few positives in new estates, is a lot of them have...
Compulsory, yeah, you don't get a choice, rainwater.
They come with... Oh, you haven't got it?
Well, okay. We've got rainwater tanks.
Okay.
There's others that have recycled water, I know, and then there's places that have both.
So my area has recycled water. So your grey water goes out, gets treated, comes back, and then you use that to water your lawns, flush your toilets, all that sort of thing. So, there are instances where people do use good drinking water to irrigate their lawns.
And to be honest, if you've got good watering practices for your lawn, you should not be watering a lot anyway.
Exactly.
The whole concept around watering your lawn is sort of deep, big water, but very, very infrequently.
And then you have the option to choose a variety of turf that isn't so water hungry.
Yeah, and I think we talked about Lawn Solutions earlier, and one of their biggest selling products is the Tiftuff Bermuda, which is sort of, they build that as the most drought tolerant. I think it's got like a water usage rating as well, as like highly, highly drought tolerant. And the lawn might not look good without water for a while in crazy heat, but the good thing with that grass is the next time it rains, it just bounces back again anyway.
Yeah.
The
next point was use, and there's a lot of emotive language here, which, again, these clickbait article headline things and sentences like this, sort of like, use nasty pesticides and chemical fertilizers to make sure they look as good as possible. Nasty.
Yep. As opposed to a good pesticide.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're look, it's a topic that triggers, right? It's
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm clearly very triggered by the article anyway. But I don't know if they realize that, like, without those pesticides and stuff like that, half the farming industry wouldn't survive either in almost any country either.
Yeah.
So it again comes down to using it the right way and not blindly using products.
Yeah, correctly. Like, we wouldn't advocate for anyone, as you said, blindly throwing down things that they know nothing about.
Yep.
And I'm probably still guilty of not being as informed as I should be.
Yeah. But one of the first things we learned when it came to, like, pesticides, herbicide applications, when we got on, like, the lawn pages and stuff like that, was read the label.
Yeah.
People say that millions of times. It's like any advice you get, but they always follow up with read the label.
Yeah.
Because, check your application rates, check your quantities.
And that's why I got to be honest with you. I don't like spraying things because I am a little bit cautious in that regard, and I will read the label and I'll be like, it's going to be, got to put PP on, got to do this, that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, like I don't spray a lot of stuff, and even less than I probably used to.
Yep.
Intentionally. But, definitely don't be blindly throwing down stuff.
Products, yep.
Yeah.
And if in doubt, just call a contractor, call like someone that does it for a living. They know what they're doing.
But if you want a basic look, like saying that people are pouring billions of litres on them and using nasty pesticides and chemical fertilisers, the vast majority of people can have a nice, tidy, clean-looking lawn with very little input of water and fertiliser and all that.
In the last 4 years, we've had that much rain. I don't think too many people have had to water their lawn that much. I'm sure the drought's going to... I was going to say, the drought's around the corner. I'm sure it's coming at some stage.
Yeah.
And that's fine, yeah.
I actually think... So, native gardens, I think I've come round to them.
Oh, you didn't agree with it at some stage?
I've always... I don't know. I've always, up until the last couple of years, been very clean slate look, like that sort of thing that people that he's probably advocating against is the sort of thing that I was attracted to because it was nice and clean. It's just a lawn, like it had the house, and then you had a 1 metre concrete path around the house, and then you had a flat layer of turf to the fence with no garden because I just had no interest in gardens or anything. I've completely turned on that now, where I like the idea of the gardens. I like the mix. I still like turf.
Yep, 100%.
I think it's a good value ground covering that
option.
Is good for lowering the heat in the area.
100%, yeah.
Especially in areas like yours and mine where there is very little green space at all. But I do want native gardens. I want to plant a lot of natives here. I want to plant all that sort of stuff. So I've come around and I've turned, but I mean, I don't hold it against anyone that wants to have
exclusively just go with that. Yeah,
whatever works for you. But I do think overall we need greener areas, like new areas need to have. I think the blocks need to be larger, and there needs to be more green space. And not necessarily, because not everyone has the time to put in to maintain a garden or a lawn or whatever. Yeah. But I think the setbacks in front of the blocks need to be larger.
Yep.
And areas that somehow, I don't know how it works, because it all comes down to money. Because obviously if you've got larger setbacks that are owned by the council or whatever, there's less money in the land being sold, and then someone's got to look after them.
Yeah, and I guess...
If it's you or me, we're looking after it, but... If they're larger setbacks, my ideal world is everyone would maintain out the front and have a larger setback. Alternatively, the council maintain it, but I just don't think that's viable. But I think setbacks are the thing that ruin these newer estates. They're like 3.5 metres from your boundary to your front porch.
Yep.
There's barely enough room for anything green, and then you end up with these awkward turf spots, which... A lot of the time I look at, and I like turf, and I'm like, yep, turf's good, but I look at them and I'm like, a garden would be better there.
Yeah.
The right garden anyway. But if you had a setback, a decent setback, you could put some trees, bigger trees that don't look out of place in the nature strip, have some green space, some garden.
And it's funny, right? If you didn't know any better and you looked at some of the suburbs, like the new development suburbs, and you stood there and looked at it, you'd think you were in a country that was lacking in empty land.
Yeah.
There was a dearth for, like, there was lack of enough land. You forget that we're on a continent where there's so much. Obviously, the bigger the block size, I guess, the costs involved in running utilities to that from, I don't know, from the council's end, the government, whoever you want to blame the man, would be much higher, which probably is why they like to squeeze everyone into tight little spaces.
I kind of look at some of it, like our areas now, and I think, like, I don't know why there's houses there even. I don't know why they're not 4-story walk-up units or something.
Yeah.
With bigger green space and that sort of thing, because at this point we're virtually living in glorified townhouses.
Yeah, 100%.
Like they're selling them as houses and the Australian route, but people build these large monstrosities on them that you're 900 mil from your fence and 900 mil to the next.
Correct. Yeah.
You're living on top of each other.
Mm-hmm. And then, the concept of taking away what little green space you've got. And I know he's not necessarily saying don't have green space. He's saying lawns, I think, are wasted green space.
He's advocating for native gardens.
Just native gardens, Which, like I said, I would love it. I'd love that too. Yeah. But I would always also like a little bit of lawn.
Can you imagine playing cricket in your native garden in your
Boxing
backyard?
Day would be boring, wouldn't it?
I mean, there's some of the best memories I have as a kid playing footy and cricket in the backyard.
Backyard, yeah.
You know, and they're turf sports.
100%. Yeah, but that was the one that got me. Not these days. There's not a lot of stuff that I see on like lawn-related stuff, whether it's on socials or anything that triggers me.
You do. You get triggered.
No, that one got me. But what else we got going on?
Then we can probably wrap it up, mate. We've been waffling for a bit. We've been all over the shop.
100%.
We might be. I was going to say we might be a little bit more organised next week, but we probably won't.
Probably won't.
No. We'll have something on, though. Appreciate you listening. Appreciate you watching if you've watched. There's plenty going on Turf and Tools. I've been putting out quite a few videos lately. Actually, the video for the chickens will be out. Actually, it'll be out already. So if you want to know about the chickens, me getting the chickens, who we got here? Henrietta. Is that who I said it was?
I don't know. You had a colour code system,
I know that one. I can't remember if it's Harrietta or Henrietta because I didn't name that one.
Oh, okay.
If you want to know about the chickens and the veggie patch and the tools that we're going to be testing out here, make sure you go and check out some of the videos on the Turf and Tools YouTube channel because that's where most of it is. You got anything? I haven't seen you putting much out lately.
You know where you it's like a mental block or it's like a posting block?
Once you get off the treadmill.
Correct.
Yeah.
If you're posting regularly, it's quite easy to come up with stuff to post regularly. And once you stop, it's just really hard to stay motivated with it, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm in one of those spaces. Maybe again, I said this at the start of spring last year.
Yeah.
And I said, I'll start again.
Oh, well, I've got to get you over. Like, when we both get some time, you've got more time now, haven't you?
Better than it was like 2 weeks ago for sure. Yeah.
Well, I'll just have to get you over here and we'll have to play with some of the stuff that we've got here because there's a bit of stuff here to...
I think I just want to just mow and edge and I'm just saying the videoing and the content creation part can just happen, like leave a camera, do what it's got to do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do actually. Yeah.
I miss just mowing and enjoying a good mow.
Well, you're probably going to miss it for a bit because we're going into those cooler months, apart from your backyard. But thank you for watching the Unlucky for Some 13th annual episode of the Turf and Tools podcast. Until next week. Oh, no, we will see you later.
Thanks, guys.
I should have been a bit more smooth. Every week, I cannot get it smooth with, I need to press the outro music now, but maybe one day.